Hello, how are you? Well, when I did my last video about Revelation 18, and now I'm looking at pictures of the supply chain problem. And you know what I mean by supply chain problem. All these ships that are coming on the ocean and try to get in the harbor, and there is no trucks there waiting for them to pick up the merchandise to bring it to the store. And of course, also what we're experiencing in our stores, that we have supply problems. A lot of the things that we're used to getting just readily on the shelves are now gone, and we have to wait. I went to have my oil changed, or wanted to have my oil changed today. People, I couldn't get my oil changed because I didn't have the oil that I needed. That is very, very unusual. Very unusual. Of course, that's how it's been for a long time. I know that some of these stores are supposed to arrange the goods so it doesn't look like there's something out. But in reality, lots of things are out. I, for instance, tried to get barley at Walmart. I couldn't even get any barley. Well, of course, people don't even know what barley is, but nevertheless, it's not there. Hash browns are gone. Just many things that are not there, and we have to wait. There was a time when we didn't have any eggs. Of course, these eggs don't come over the ocean, but even our president was saying, oh, we may have problems, this Christmas to get all the little gifts that we want. So what is the problem with all this stuff? What's the problem? Well, they are controlling it, of course. Who is controlling it? My last video was talking about the merchants, didn't I? The merchants who control things. But who are they controlled by? Well, they are controlled, of course, by Babylon the Great. At least that is the ultimate controlling person. Of course, it goes through our governments. Yeah? But our governments are in the hands of these big wigs, these big merchants. And I'm talking about big ones with lots of money, like the World Economic Forum guys. Big money, okay? I'm not talking about like Amazon and these big companies that have already sold their soul to Babylon the Great. Do they know? I don't know. But I made a video about this and gave you a lot more information. And at that time, of course, I didn't know about what is going to happen. But I have collected some information on this maritime. The video was called Falling is Babylon the Great, Connection Between Maritime Commerce and the Vatican. That's what I was talking about. And I was looking at Revelation 18, when Babylon the Great falls. Okay? And what I've read then is, well, woe to you, great city, dressed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, glittering with gold, precious stones and pearls. In 1 hour, such great wealth has been brought to ruin. Every sea captain and all who travel by ship, the sailors and all who earn their living from the sea will stand far off. When they see the smoke of her burning, they will exclaim, was there ever a city like the great city? They will throw dust on their heads and with weeping and mourning cry out. Now, who is that city? That city where Babylon the Great lives in. I know a lot of people believe it's Jerusalem. No, Jerusalem is not having any control over all the merchants. No, It is Babylon the Great. There was several videos that I posted under that video and on my Facebook page, and you probably cannot find it right now. I could bring it up again. One was Vatican Control Through Civil Law by Richard Bennett. Now, Richard Bennett is very good, okay? He knows very much about the Catholic Church and the Jesuits. And it would be interesting to actually listen to that. And then there's one specifically, it's in Spanish, but it's also a really, really good information how the Vatican is controlling maritime. Now, why did I bring this up today? Well, because I read Revelation last week in connection to what? Pharma. Okay? To pharma. And I know I'm not even supposed to say it because that's probably one of the things that go blink, blink, blink on their, whatever you call it, on YouTube. So anyways, but this is interesting. Remember my last video about pharmakia and how it is controlled by the merchants and, of course, ultimately by Babylon the Great. And we see when we read all of 18, Revelation 18, we see all the things that she is controlling. She is controlling all of the nations, all the kings. Right here in 9 says, when the kings of the earth who committed adultery with her, all the kings committed adultery with her and shared her luxury, see the smoke of her burning, they will weep and mourn over her. Terrified at her torment, they will stand far off and cry, woe, woe, woe to you, great city, you mighty city of Babylon. In 1 hour, your doom has come. Okay? Great city of Babylon is the Vatican. It's not Rome. Some people say Rome, but then say, oh no, that can't be Rome. It's not. It's actually the Vatican. The Vatican who controls maritime. Okay? Maritime. The merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her because no one buys her cargoes anymore. She is the one who controls everything. And we already saw in my last video that they get rich. They get rich. Okay? They get rich through her. And now no longer do they get rich. And of course, 17 says, and every sea captain and all who travel by ship, the sailors and all who earn their living from the sea will stand far off. Okay? It says, woe, woe, you great city, where all who had ships on the sea became rich through her wealth. And that's in 19. You see that? Woe, woe to you, great city, where all who had ships on the sea became rich through her wealth. In 1 hour she has been brought to ruin. Read this whole chapter again. I just thought it was very, very interesting because I did this video. When was it? It was in, I think, February of this year. Okay? I did this video specifically about this maritime. And what are we having today? Something is going on that we're not getting our supply. And hello, who is in control of it? Who is making sure that things will break down? Who will make sure? Well, who is behind it? We think, oh, it's Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. That's what we think, right? Because we see only the front men. we only see, what they show us in the media. And even people who do some research, they only show you really to a certain level on this pyramid, not period, pyramid, okay? The pyramid of power that's on our dollar bill. I hope you know the pyramid of power, right? So you only know a certain level on that pyramid. And you know who is there, and it's the merchants, or it is the kings, the government. That's the only thing you see. But you don't see who stands behind the merchants and the government. You don't see that. You don't see who is pulling the string, right? So, and it's not even the Pope. I have said in my last video that I've said it's the Jesuits who are all over the world and who are in every political system. Every political system. They earn everything. Okay? They're in banking. They're in media. No matter what you can think about that is controlling the world, they're in it. Everything comes from them. Everything is controlled by them. Now, many people think, oh, it's the Zionists. But the Zionists are part of the Jesuits as well. That is the big problem. The Jesuits have everybody under their control, including, of course, the Freemasons. Okay? Including the Freemasons. So it doesn't really matter. They all control everything right now. They have taken over our education. They have taken over the media. They have taken over the banking. They have taken over healthcare. Matter of fact, I just saw it. Somebody, Richie from Boston, I think I even posted his video on my Great Deceptions of the End Times Facebook group. He was posting something about that these people are now controlling. They think because, they have to control healthcare for this reset, this great reset. Do you know what the politicians call the great reset now? Because, see, it didn't go very well for them to call it great reset because people were waking up and saying, oh, we don't want this great reset. You know what they're calling it? Build back better. Build back better. That's what they're calling it. That's what they came up with when they had this G5 meeting. And I think it was in the spring. They came up with this build back better because they think, oh, that sounds really good. After what we're having this past 1.5 years with the shutdowns and all that, well, now we have to build back better. Okay? But you know what? Everything is not destroyed, is it? Okay? Everything is not destroyed. So the destruction is not even finished. And this cutting the supply chain is one of the things how they're going to bring down the economy even more and build back better. Now, how are they going to build it back? With climate change in mind. Okay? You know that they think that we can change climate change, right? And they're going to use that to collapse the economy and bring about the Great Reset and start all over again. But this time, they're in control. They will control the resources absolutely. Now, I'm saying they, right? Because we're only seeing one level in that pyramid. One level. And that's, of course, the merchants, what the merchants are doing, what the kings are doing. That's what we're seeing. But we don't see who is behind it. Because that is the shadow government that people are talking about, that we don't even get to see. The shadow government is not the Democrats. It's not the shadow government people. That's ridiculous. We see the Democratic politicians and the parties and stuff like that. That's not a hidden thing. We know what they're doing. We need to be worried about who is behind them. Okay? And of course, then people are saying, oh, it's the merchants, right? It's the big companies, big pharma, money, banking. That's what behind it. What's behind them? Okay, that's the deep state, because that's one more level behind them. The think tanks, because every politician all the way down to the local level, they were groomed by these think tanks, like the World Economic Forum. Okay, that's the only thing we see. And we think that's the way it is. Oh, this, what is it? Klaus Schwab. I think his name is Klaus Schwab, right? This bad guy who does all this stuff. But again, go deeper. Who is behind all this? Do we see it in the Bible? Who is behind it? Of course, we have the beast out of the earth, the beast out of the sea, which are the political things, right? It's the system, the political system, and you can also say economic system, right? They're also part, the economics is also part of the political system. We're talking about the beast out of the sea, which is Europe, the political system of all of Europe, the economic system of all of Europe. Okay, that's where Klaus Schwab falls under. And then we have the political and economic system of the United States, which is the beast out of the earth. Okay, so we have the two beasts, the beast system. But who sits on the beast? That's what we see in Revelation 17 very, very, very clearly. Now, over the years, well, I would not even say over the years, because they have always been hidden. Okay, they never really came out in the open. They always have done things in hiding. And I'm talking about the Jesuits. The Jesuits were put in place to protect the Roman Catholic Church and the Pope, and to make sure that the Pope will continue its power. That's what they were used for. Okay, so it's not necessarily the Pope, but the Jesuits who infiltrated into every aspect of our life, especially education. When they infiltrated in education all over the world, people, even in the United States, they were grooming people for politics. Okay? Very simple. They're grooming people from little to adulthood. That's what happened. Okay, that's what happened. If you don't believe it, again, read this book about Charles Chiniquy, 50 years in the Roman Church, who was a priest around Abraham Lincoln's time. He clearly lays it out. And there's so many other books that you can read. And if you've been following my videos, you know that I have been constantly, bringing these books out. And I keep mentioning these books. And that's why I know what's going on. But I also know it from the Bible. Read 17, Revelation 17. Who is sitting on the beast? Who is sitting on the beast? It's Babylon the Great. Okay? Very simple. Very, very simple. Babylon the Great is a woman. She is a whore. She is a whore because she is whoring with false gods, with paganism, the gods of paganism. So she is a church. She's a fallen church. We only have one world church that is a fallen church that came out of Christianity, right? And she started to whore. She is a fake church. She is actually saying that she is a Christian church, but in reality, she threw the Holy Spirit out. And she put the Pope in the position of the Holy Spirit. The Pope made himself into God. Okay? Now, there's many popes that openly proclaim that. Now, I don't have it in front of me right now. There's at least one pope, I think that was Leo, I think it was one of the Leos during the First or Second World War. That was actually publicly saying that. Okay? And that is exactly what the Jesuits believe as well. That's why you are supposed to be bowing down to the Pope. If you do not bow down to the Pope, you are a heretic and you're supposed to be killed. Okay? That's how serious it is. That's how serious it is. You are a heretic and you should be killed. Matter of fact, you are actually there. You're free. They have all the permission that they can kill you. Okay? You're Protestant, you're not a Catholic, they can kill you. They have no problem killing you, or your children, or your grandchildren. And you need to get that in your head, because that is exactly what's going on today. Yeah, we have not been openly persecuted. Not openly persecuted. But, you know, behind the scene, we have been persecuted. Okay? Behind the scene, we are being used as guinea pigs. That is exactly right. We're being used as guinea pigs. Actually, all of them. They don't even care if you're Catholic, because even the Catholics are being jabbed with this right here. And the Pope supports it. You do know that, right? I mean, if you're not a Catholic, you should know that the Pope supports this. So, anyways, read this again. Revelation 17 and 18. It is amazing. Because when you also look at Daniel 7, you see that the little horn in the middle, okay? You have the 10 horns, which are the European kingdoms. The little horn in the middle is ruling them all. Okay? It's ruling them all. She's the smallest kingdom. She is a city-state or a city-country. Okay? And she rules them all. She's been doing that from the beginning. From the beginning. Okay? Now, when the Reformation came and they rebelled, they had to find a different plan to bring back the Protestants or the countries. They didn't care about the people, right? We can kill the people, which they exactly did during the First World War and the Second World War. If you're Orthodox or if you're Catholic, if you're a Protestant, who cares if you die? They're interested in bringing Catholicism to the whole world. And now they're definitely interested in the United States. And they have already done it. Okay? They have been working on the United States for a long time through the education system. And that's what we have today in our education system. Okay? We have nothing but obedience training. Obedience training. I was always surprised, I'm from Germany, and Germany is pretty bad with obedience training. But I'll tell you, when I came to the States, in the schools in the States, with kids walking in lines, okay, elementary school, not so much in middle school anymore, but in elementary school, kids walking in line quietly, and I was really shocked. I was shocked because that would have never happened in Germany, and yet it's bad there. But yeah, our kids here, they are very much trained to obedience, and that is a main factor or main component of the Jesuit beliefs. That you obey no matter what. Your leaders. Okay? And that's what we have. That's why people cannot think on their own anymore. It's because they have been trained to believe that. Okay? Very strongly, and especially if you come from a, Catholic background, that's very strong. You will obey your elders. Now, it's different today, but listen, if you go to school, you still have it, right? You go into school, you're going to work, still that way. Teamwork doesn't exist very much. It's becoming more and more, important, but not very often. No, it's obedience. You follow your leader or your boss. But I don't want to get sidetracked from Babylon the Great. And especially this maritime. We see that today. And here in 18, it tells us who has control over maritime or over the sea captains and over the sailors and over the merchandise. And we see today how much is in the hands of these sea captains, right? I mean, we're bringing tons and tons. We don't even create things here anymore. We have to bring it through over the sea. Most of our stuff is created outside of our country. And because we're not connected to other countries, in the world, we depend on our sea faring stuff. I mean, on the boats, on the ships. And I think sometimes people don't think about that. That we really depend on other countries. I think in this video that I watched, these couple of videos, and in my last video, I actually said that 90% of our supplies come overseas. Okay? Come to us through ships. It's because in the past years even, people, our producers went overseas. So they took all the production out of our country and took it into countries where they can produce cheaper things. Okay? Like China and Thailand and all these Asian countries where the people don't make a lot of money. And so what happens, they can produce there's no restrictions either for safety stuff, right? You don't have to worry about that. And so it is cheaper to produce it there and then bring it all the way on cargo ships to the United States. It's pretty sad because what we're doing is we're using these people like in China or Taiwan or wherever they're coming from, as really, you can almost say slaves. We pay them very minimal wages. They live very poor lives, okay? Very poor lives. And for what? So we have more and more stuff. So we can get things cheap, our technology cheap, okay? And so we can have a better life on the back of some people that don't have anything. Now, I don't agree with that at all. Now, of course, I go to Walmart too, and I still try to buy my, things the cheapest way. But if you really think about it, is it right? Is it right? Do we maybe have to change something? So we don't buy so much. Okay, buy. And with the supply chain, falling apart, being stopped, maybe we need to actually wake up and see what things do we really need to survive and what things can we do without. We're already worried about Christmas. Oh, we're not going to get the presents for our children. You know what I believe about Christmas? It's a pagan holiday. Okay? And Satan wants us to celebrate pagan holidays. Okay? That's bottom line. I'm sorry, that's what I believe. He wants us to do that. He wants us to spend money. He wants us to use maybe resources that we really don't need. He wants us to exploit our world, because that's what it boils down to. We don't have enough resources, and now the rich have to say, wait a minute, we're going to have to regulate the resources because we don't have enough. But first, we will get our stuff. And then when we get all our stuff and live in filthy rich conditions, then the other people will get their stuff. Okay? And they will get their stuff. Some, maybe eventually. Now, I believe very strongly that we need to be very careful how we use our resources. We don't have to buy and buy and buy, but that's what we've been conditioned to believe. Everybody has been conditioned. That's what we're seeing on TV, on commercials. Buy, or else you're not going to be happy. Okay? Buy. And again, are we putting ourselves in slavery that way? Okay? Are we putting ourselves again in slavery? And who profits from it? The merchants who get filthy rich. The merchants who are controlled by who? By Babylon the Great. Who is controlling Babylon the Great? It is Satan. Okay? And he, at the end, wins by it. He's not going to be the final winner. He's not going to be the final winner. But something is wrong in our world. Of course, we have, thank you for your, I don't know if my English people sent me some information. I think it was the Germans. I was asking, how many people do you think are true followers of Jesus? And some people said 10 to 20%, but really when it boils down to, it's maybe less than 1% that are really followers of Jesus. And if we're followers of Jesus, I think we need to change a lot of things. We need to really not only go back to the basics, like really going back to how we're supposed to be living according to the Bible. But also, we need to be very careful with our resources. Very, very careful. I put a video on my YouTube and on my Facebook group, Great Deception in Times, about the Amish. And you know what? They look better and better to me every day. I may not agree with them 100% on their religious beliefs, but what they believe is not so bad at all. Okay? Not so bad at all. What we're doing is horrible. And it's not surprising when the big wigs are now trying to control everything. And they will. And the supply chain is one of the things that they are controlling. Okay? The supply chains. Okay? They're going to control that you are not going to use too much CO2 anymore. Pretty soon, they're going to turn off the fuel, okay, the gasoline for your cars, and they're going to say, oh, you're only going to drive so far. You're only going to get so much allowance. People, it's coming, okay? They're going to say, oh, wait a minute, you're only going to get so much meat a week because we don't have the supplies. I watched the Ice Age Farmer once in a while. And you can find him on BitChute because it was kicked off on YouTube. And he was talking about the supply for fertilizers. The farmers are not getting fertilizer, okay? Because no fertilizer there. So if they don't get fertilizer, they cannot grow. So then next year we will not have enough food to go around. You know, things are more complicated. People don't think about, hey, we need fertilizer to get food. You know what we used to be? You know, I come from a farm community, farm family. So yeah, every house had a septic tank. And the farmer used the sewer from the septic tank to take them out on their fields. That was just something they were doing. They didn't buy fertilizer. They used the sewer. Yeah, and I'll tell you, that smelled pretty bad when they went out there to the fields and, you know, to the, they're called fields, and put their septic or their sewer on it. So, but then over the years, hey, we even became dependent on fertilizer. Okay, fertilizer. The people, the farmers, during the time when I was a little kid, they knew what to use. They don't know that anymore. But don't want to go there. I want to finish up right now. And yes, read that again. I think we have become very dependent on things. We have too many people in this world. We don't have enough resources. And the elite is getting pretty frightened. They're getting pretty frightened because they see that the wrath of God is coming. And they are going to be, you know, they're going to have less resources as well. So anyways, let the Holy Spirit guide you always.